Hey, when you're sitting around trying to figure out how many suspensions this is for Draymond Green, I got the number for you. It's 6. This one might last a while. We'll get into that. LeBron James did not stand for the anthem. Is he being misrepresented? I don't know. And NBA players fighting over the game ball. They're starting to give me gas. And racist by Gilbert Arenas. Say it ain't so. Don't at me starts right now. Hey, welcome. We've been talking about this, and we've been talking about this because it needed to happen. You know, you get a sense when you watch sports of somebody that's out of their freaking mind. Like, it could be a good thing. Michael Jordan with the shrug was out of his freaking mind making threes, right? So he goes with the shrug. Guys get out of their mind in football. They get hot catching balls. They get hot getting open. You can get hot defensively as much as you can offensively. There's a lot of ways that you can lose your mind in sports, but Draymond Green has been losing his mind in a very bad way. This is suspension number 6 for the Warriors forward. This is the second suspension since November 1st for the Warriors forward. And this one looks like it could be a minute, because now here's what we're talking about. We're talking about, quote, getting the help he needs. Now, I'm no psychologist. I'm no psychiatrist. I follow sports, politics, current events, my family, and a variety of other things. But I don't pretend to play amateur psychiatrist. But what I do know is Draymond Green is out of control. And Draymond Green reacts by being out of control in cowardice, cheap shots, not squaring off. He's kind of Bill Laimbeer-esque, except he doesn't walk away, or he walks away and plays like he didn't do it, whereas Laimbeer would have to face his confronter. And many times, whether it was Larry Bird or whether it was Julius Erving or Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, they would throw hands. This guy is a coward. This guy is cowardice by the way he reacts. He cheap shots, then he tries to help somebody up. He cheap shots, and then he acts and tries to yell at the ref so he doesn't have the confrontation. It is a cowardly move. Well, the NBA has had enough. The NBA has said, we are going to suspend you indefinitely while you, quote, get the help that you can. This is the 6th suspension. This is the 6th suspension. Suspension 1, Game 5, NBA Finals, 2016, altercation with LeBron James. Suspension number 2, altercation, conduct detrimental to the team with Kevin Durant. Suspension number 3, fine for punching teammate Jordan Poole. Suspension number 4, suspended for season-long technical foul limit. So we got too many texts. Suspension number 5, and these are all this year, these last 3, suspended 5 games for Rudy Gobert in a headlock. And suspension number 6 comes when he decided to throw a punch to a foreign guy. And I'm going to say why I said foreign guy coming up here in a moment. But 6 suspensions, 3 within this NBA season is just ridiculous. And it's not only ridiculous, it is hurtful to his team, and it's hurtful to the league. And, ladies and gentlemen, it's hurtful to the guy he punches. I mean, it just is. Now, I get a kick out of NBA guys. Everybody wants to bow up against everybody except against Draymond Green. Remember when Frank Kaminsky did not want any part of Jimmy Butler in the NBA playoffs? I believe it was the NBA Finals, maybe. Well, Frank Kaminsky wanted nothing to do with it. Frank Kaminsky punked out, but Frank Kaminsky is a punk. We've all known that for years, or at least I've known that. But now everybody in the NBA punks out against Draymond Green. Everybody in the NBA is afraid of Draymond Green. So Draymond Green goes about his business, and he just starts hurting people. And did you see any of the Phoenix Suns come to Urev's defense? No. Did you see the guy on the right there, Steve Kerr, do anything but enable? No. Did you see the Golden State Warriors do anything but enable? No. In Kerr's case, he's all woke and all in on wokeness. I mean, the white man would be keeping the African-American down if Steve Kerr decided to do anything, at least in Steve Kerr's mind. Well, Steve Kerr failed Draymond Green. As a coach, you're supposed to provide discipline. As a coach, you're supposed to provide structure. As a coach, you're supposed to set a culture of accountability, and there was none within the Golden State Warriors. Zero, zip, nada. You tell me, when you watch Draymond Green act like a complete dumbass, and it's not just in how he hurts others. He acts like a complete dumbass with his technical fouls, ranting and raving and running all over the court and going to the sideline and screaming and yelling and doing it almost every night. Where's Steve Kerr? Where's the coach? That's why I've never really bought into Steve Kerr as an actual coach. Sure, he manages personalities, and that's a big-time deal with coaching. But a coach is supposed to set a culture where that's not what we do. Coach is supposed to set a culture where if you do that, if you again go against what our team culture is, our core values, then there will be retribution. There will be consequence. You ever see that with Steve Kerr? What do you see with Steve Kerr? All you see with Steve Kerr is, well, Draymond's this, excuses. You don't see anything other than excuses. You don't see anything other than enabling. And now it's gotten to the point where the NBA has to do the job of Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors and suspend Draymond Green. And it's sad, really. It's more a reflection on two things. It's a reflection on Green and him trying to build his brand so that he's the wild child that moves into the NBA on TNT booth when Barkley leaves. He's the wild child that, because of his personality, which if you listen to his words, he's really stupid. I mean, I know we go yay Rod straight. He's really stupid. How couldn't he be? I mean, when you act like that on the court, how can't you be really stupid off? Same thing with Dennis Rodman. I'll get into Rodman in a minute. This is what Draymond Green is trying to do. Draymond Green is trying to be the next guy, the wild child, the guy that we all think, wow, I can't wait to get his opinion. That's what he's trying to do. And it's smart. It's really smart. No, it really is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, about 16 times Dennis Rodman was suspended. Think about that. And Dennis Rodman's a hero. Dennis Rodman was in the Hall of Fame. If Dennis Rodman wasn't so whacked out, Dennis Rodman would be on TNT, the NBA on TNT. But Dennis Rodman is in another sphere of whacked outness. Well, Draymond Green is fighting to do that. Draymond Green is dying to do that. Draymond Green wants to do that. And Draymond Green, quite frankly, will do that. He'll make a lot of money once his NBA career is over talking about the NBA. He will. You can say he won't, but he will. You can say you don't like it, but you do. Barkley is funny. Barkley is engaging. Barkley is self-deprecating. Draymond Green's just stupid and a coward. That's all. No more, no less. Is what it is. Speaking of a coward, I've always thought when you compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James, one was a freaking killer. The other, James, is an incredibly gifted physical freak that is smart enough to understand his place in the world, not only basketball, but business, and he takes care of himself at a level nobody in the history of basketball has ever taken care of himself. And when you do that, combined with his abilities, you have one of the greatest players of all time. Now, you can argue he's the greatest. You can argue he's first, second, third, whatever you want to do. In my world, he's going to end up statistically the greatest player of all time if he isn't there already, LeBron James. But there's always been something about LeBron James that just kind of makes you go, huh? Michael Jordan was the kind of dude that, what do they say? Women want to get with and men want to be like, that kind of thing. LeBron James is kind of effeminate. LeBron James is kind of like, I don't know. I'm not sure why. Yeah, but that's who James is. Jordan's like, hey, let's go, Mike. Hey, I get to hang with Mike. Let's go. Where are we going? What are we doing? It's going to be a blast. James is kind of like, don't use the word bitching so loosely. Shut up. I'll never forget when he walked out with his purse of a press conference, and he walked out like this. I couldn't tell if he was an adult male with a penis or one of them fake women trying to be a dude. I couldn't tell. But anyway, that's the difference between the two. And doesn't mean that one's not better than the other in basketball. It just means that when one makes a mistake, Michael Jordan has always been forgiven for everything. I mean, the womanizing, the gambling, who knows what happened with his father's passing. Michael Jordan has always been forgiven because everybody in the media wants to be like Mike. LeBron James isn't going to get the same thing because LeBron James is That's the best way I can describe it. I don't know. So James comes into his kid's game. National anthem is playing. Now, there are a lot of us, and I understand the other side, but there are a lot of us, even we're in Nissan Stadium a couple Sundays ago, and we weren't at our seats and the anthem was playing. We still took off our hats, stood at attention, not LeBron James. Not LeBron James. The anthem is playing, and I get what he did. He comes into the game during the anthem because it's easier for him to get in. Everywhere he goes, it's a cluster. But he's got his hat on. He takes his seat while everybody in front of him is standing. Now, there are reports that he stood up, but I'm being told by my staff here that he did not. He sat the entire national anthem. Look at the two ladies, bottom right. Look at the idiot with the glasses that has to take a picture. LeBron James is sitting there when he knows everybody in the place is standing, but of course he can't do it. Now, if the Chinese national anthem was playing, he'd have been there hand over heart waving a flag. But that's LeBron James. Michael Jordan famously said Republicans buy sneakers too, and Democrats got mad. The African-American community got mad, but nobody could really get mad at Michael Jordan. And Democratic African-Americans are starting to understand what Michael Jordan's saying, which is take a look at the Republican side, African-American Democrats, because them Democrats ain't helping you a whole lot. They're giving you stuff, but they ain't helping you. Michael Jordan knew that. LeBron James doesn't know that. He's trying to be a social justice warrior, but this is bad. He's lost a lot of us here. If you're going to be out in front of everything, then you got to understand that when you do things like this, it's going to be talked about. And James understands it. And I would argue that this was done intentionally. This was LeBron James's way of saying, I don't like gun violence or I don't like America. Hey, man, put the Chinese flag up there. That dude would be singing. He would be speaking Mandarin. He would be speaking whatever. That dude. But here he is. Look at the two ladies, bottom right. Isn't that awesome? It's fantastic. And look at the cameras in front of James. And, of course, there's always the DSB. The DSB is wearing khakis and a backpack. I'm not going to tell you what the DSB is, but there's always a DSB around a superstar athlete. So LeBron James is sitting there. The world explodes, and the reporter says, as the reporter who took this video, this is gross. It's gross, and completely mischaracterizes the situation. LeBron has done this for years in Bronny's time at Sierra Canyon. It's objectively the best time to walk in, so he doesn't cause a massive stir. Stop it. Okay. But why not just stand for the anthem, little Luca? It's gross. Oh, it's so gross. I just can't believe that people would know. Okay, why not then stand for the anthem? I mean, it seems simple. If you don't know the anthem is being sung, then you're not LeBron James or you're not human. Because everybody knows the anthem is being sung, and you can tell right there that people are singing the anthem. So whether LeBron James comes in or not at this time doesn't really matter. He has literally zero respect, and yet he's going to lecture us about our country. The dude's got a 10th grade education. The dude is one of the smartest businessmen in the world. But he can't stand for the anthem in the country that provided this opportunity? Like, I love when LeBron James says, I shouldn't be here. Really? You were 6'8" in like 8th grade. You're built like God gave you a great brain. Why shouldn't you be there? I shouldn't be there. I was 6'4" with a bad left knee. I was 6'4" with almost died at birth. I shouldn't have been anywhere. You? I remember you in 8th grade. Bigger, stronger, and God gave you a great brain. Now, there are a lot of people criticizing LeBron James. Colby Covington, who has been on the show, by the way, said if you hate America so much and you don't like this country that gave you $1 billion, now you can argue he worked for it, but boy, sure provided the opportunity. Try to do that in most other countries. Leave it or come deal with me. Go to China. Go to all these sweatshops that you employ all these laborers and use these women and pay them pennies on the dollars and make you millions. F you, LeBron James. You're a coward. You're a spineless coward, and you're a biatch. Wow. All right. Colby Covington, pretty strong. I wish we had him on today. But you know what? He ain't wrong. All these people that have such a firm dislike, I know the answer is, well, that's why our military fights, so people can have these opinions. Yeah, I get that, but we're getting a little tired of it, aren't we? Aren't we getting a little tired of these jackasses moralizing to us? Aren't we getting a little tired of having to hear from billionaires tell us how bad our country is? I mean, LeBron James is from Akron, Ohio. He was not born on third base. But yet being in this country somehow, some way, between his ability, his smarts, his toughness, and his common sense allowed him to be a billionaire. Name me another country that's going to happen. I mean, you can be a billionaire in Qatar or Qatar, but you better own oil. I don't think James or I are owning oil. You could be a billionaire a lot of different places, but you ain't doing it in basketball in London or Paris or where else. I don't know. Maybe in, no longer Yugoslavia, maybe in Serbia, he could probably make millions, but he ain't going to be a billionaire. That's just amazing. So many times, so many people talk about what we don't have, what we're bad at. How about we talk about what good we have here? How about we talk about the ability to move around a country freely? How about we talk about the ability, if you are like LeBron James, to capitalize on talent, on smarts, on ability, and make billions? A lot of places that's not so. People are whining about women now. Yeah? How about women start talking about what they do have? The ability to do anything in this country. Anything. Ain't like that in most countries, but it sure is here. Man, do we whine about what we don't have. It's like, be careful what you wish for is one of my mottos. Sack up. I love sack up. Be careful what you wish for, and no good deed goes unpunished. Those are my life mottos, as taught to me by my older brother. And boy, oh boy, is it true. This is odd to me, and I want your opinion on it. The Attorney General of Florida has launched an investigation, an antitrust investigation into the decision by the College Football Playoff Committee to leave Florida State out of the playoffs. Ashlyn Moody says this: I'm a lifetime Gator, but I'm also the Florida Attorney General, and I know injustice when I see it. This is why we're fighting for the unconquered, good word, Florida State football team and demanding answers from the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. In Florida, merit matters. If it's attention that they were looking for, the CFP Committee certainly has our attention now. Let me spell it out for you, lady. Florida State lost their quarterback. Florida State lost their Heisman Trophy potential quarterback. Florida State played a couple games without that quarterback, and to their credit, they did win. In fact, this is how bad their league was. They beat Louisville for the conference championship with their third-string quarterback to take it even farther from the College Football Committee. The second-string quarterback would be ready to play come bowl season, will be ready to play come bowl season. There it is. You want to know why? Let me add to it. Florida State didn't look very good. Florida State did not look like the same Florida State team as when they had Jordan Travis. Other teams are on scholarship too. Other teams, like Alabama, with only one loss, had a chance to go away twice. Once at Auburn, which, oh, by the way, you can tell me how bad Auburn is or isn't, but don't we always say, throw the records out? Throw the records out when it's Auburn, Alabama, Purdue, Indiana, Bowling Green, Toledo, Florida, Florida State, Miami, Florida State. You know what I'm saying. Okay. Well, they figured out how to get it done on a 31-yard Hail Mary. And then they covered with an interception. So, looked pretty good at the end. 43 seconds of pretty good. But the truth of the matter is, then you go play in the SEC championship game against the two-time national champions, and you win. and you win all day, get down 7-0. I watched every minute of that game, and Alabama was the better team. I watched damn near every minute of the Florida State game. I was at a bar with my daughter and a bunch of friends. We were eating and playing cards, euchre, while we were watching games at a really good place, the DraftKings Sports Bar, newly opened in Nash Vegas. But anyway, having said that, the truth of the matter is, would you be pissed off as a Florida resident if your tax dollars went to this? See, I'm not that guy. I'm not. A lot of people are. I'm a Florida resident. I'm pissed off. You're using my tax dollars. You know what? Maybe I would be now, because this is the first time in my life that I don't want to pay taxes, or I didn't want to pay taxes. I don't want to. I look at it going to Ukraine, or if I lived in Florida, although they don't have income tax, I'd be like, wait a second here. You're going to sit here and you're going to use this on what? Hey, I watched the game. Florida State wasn't as good as Alabama. The committee wants somebody to go beat Michigan, and that's it. There you go. My world's not that hard. It's like what I said after kicking Michael Jordan's ass, and Billy Packer asked me, how'd you do it? I said, it just wasn't that hard. Well, this just ain't that hard. Florida State did not deserve to get in. Yes, they won all their games. Yes, that means something, but it didn't mean enough. They played a good, not great, Louisville team, and they barely won. It was a good win, though. Hey, look, I always say this. You want to win the games that get you a ring. What gets you a ring? Winning the conference title gets you a ring. I don't know if getting into the college football playoff gets you a ring. Should. Getting to the Final Four gets you a ring in basketball. Winning an NCAA championship in both sports gets you a ring. Conference title, conference tournament. Getting to the Final Four and winning a national championship. You want rings. Well, now you want a Lamborghini. But, used to be you want rings. So go get them, Ashley Moody. I'm sure there's a lot of people around you that are saying, yeah, this will help you with the voting. This will help you with our core audience. Who's the core audience in Florida? Other than old people, it is football fans. But I got to tell you, and I'm going to continue to tell you, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you more, and I'm going to keep telling you. I don't like wishing my life away. My beautiful mother always said, Daniel, don't wish your life away. When I would say, man, I can't wait for Saturday to get here. We're playing Ham and Morton. Daniel, don't wish your life away. All right, she's right. But I got to tell you, I'm looking forward, very much looking forward to the freaking Michigan-Alabama game, and I think you are too. And if you're not, you should be. Because that, I'm telling you, my day, I want to know your day. Here's my day. I'm going for the first time, long time, 10:30 at night, New Year's Eve, to a band, a great show with some friends of Lee's and mine, which means I'm going to sleep most of the day on New Year's Eve, hang out, go, probably not get home to 2 or 3 in the morning. Alabama, Michigan starts at 5. I'm going to be up by 3 in the afternoon, ready to go, because I'm staying up. That's right. That's my day. Bill Hancock, executive director of the College Football Playoff, responded. He said, we will carefully review this demand for information, but it sure seems to be an overly aggressive reaction to a college football ranking in which some fans somewhere were bound to be disappointed. He's right. Problem for Bill Hancock is he looks exactly like what you think Bill Hancock, the head of the College Football Committee, looks like. He does. Now, by all accounts, Bill Hancock is one of the great guys going. But he looks like exactly what the head of the College Football Playoff would look like, and that's an easy target. We all know that's an easy target. We all know that the white middle-aged guy, bald-headed guy, not the ripped guy, is an easy target. Everybody knows this. So, Bill, do you, man. Tell her to, boom, stick it, and move it along. You did a great job. You got the right teams, and I, for one, cannot wait. And I don't give a rat's ass about Florida State playing Michigan or Florida State playing Texas or Florida State playing Washington. I wouldn't watch the game. It'd be boring. I would be out, discoing somewhere. Anyway, that's just me. All right, this is the greatest story in the history of the world. You ready? You ready for this? Southwest Airlines, which is what my daughter flew to get to Florida. Southwest Airlines is helping the biggins. The biggin that you're sitting there in your seat and you're like, man, I hope that whale doesn't sit next to me. Man, I don't need this slob's fat dripping over. Oh, no, here she comes or he comes. Oh, they walked past or they stopped short. Y'all been there. We've all been there. We've all been there, and it's guy at the window, you're in the aisle, and there's the middle seat, and here comes the biggin. The undisciplined biggin, because the biggin always is sweating, huffing, and then the biggin is so undisciplined that they don't know not to take up both of the armrests, and then they're all over you, and then they're in your side. I actually had to push. I go, hey, man, I don't mind battling it out over the armrest, but I can't have an elbow, in my ribs for 4 hours. And to the biggin's credit, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, which was good. I appreciate her. But listen to this out of Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is being praised for, listen to it, listen for it, customers of size policy. That's right, a customers of size. Customers of size that allows overweight flyers to purchase one seat and get another complimentary. TikTokers, fat-ass TikTokers are praising Southwest Airlines for its customers of size policy, which allows overweight passengers to request a complimentary seat and forces the flight staff to accommodate larger flyers, even if it means kicking others with tickets off of the flight. That is bullshit. That is complete and utter crap. I got a ticket. You're an undisciplined fat ass. And you're allowed to buy my ticket, basically, and not let me go see my family or get a much-deserved vacation because somebody that can't put the bonbons down needs 2 seats? My ass. My ass. Let me ask you a question. Just a question. You ever see somebody that's a captain of industry being obese? I ask this all the time. Do you ever see outside of the Kroger or outside of the J.C. Penney's, I don't even know if they have them, or Sears or, the Wawa here or the Publix, and some lady is yelling at their kid? Are they ever the hot mom from Carmel? No. They're the biggins. Munchausen by proxy. Look it up. Biggins. These people now leaving you stranded. That's just not fair. No, it's not. And if I'm being insensitive, I don't know what to tell you. I'm a biggin. I'm 40 pounds overweight. And I think I'm dumber because I'm 40 pounds overweight. I'm sadder because I can't get it disciplined enough. Actually, I'm not 40. I've dropped a bunch of pounds because of Affinity Whole Health, by the way. But anyway, if you're fat, the anxiety of flying, and this alleviates a lot of it, says Caroline, a traveler influencer who is a size 20. Yeah? All right. Yeah, okay. Okay, Carol. Under the Texas-based airlines policy, customers whose bodies encroach past the armrest are entitled to an extra seat at no cost. No, they're not. The hell they are. No, they're not. No. Let me ask you a question. Serious question. If all these airlines said, yeah, we ain't doing it. You know what? We ain't doing it. Not doing it. And some TikToker got mad. Would anybody really care? I mean, would anybody even care a little bit? I mean, even a skosh. Hey, TikTok fatty got mad. Okay. Go over there. and be mad. I don't want to hear from you, but go over there and be mad. And then we'll figure it all out. But why would anyone care about a TikToker? Is Lizzo the spokesperson? Are we going to rename it Biggins Airlines? I'm done with you, Southwest. I'm done. I want to promote a healthy lifestyle. And you are not promoting a healthy lifestyle. You are promoting a fat person's ability to be fat and encroach on others just because they're fat. It's not right. I won't have it. Hey, John Daly says golfers want Donald Trump back as president. Well, really, John? Everybody wants Donald Trump back as president, just most people are too afraid to say it. John Daly said pro golfers want Daddy Trump back. Let's hear from the complete and total mess that is John Daly. Damn, this is a good show.
So when you're playing on tour, do you like go to dinner with the other players at night?
A lot of times, yeah. A lot of us hang out on the championship.
What are their so you're open in your politics? You're pretty direct about it.
Yeah.
I would say.
Where's common sense in our country?
Do you think you've got the majority view among golfers?
Yeah. I think all of us on the tours and everything, we all want Daddy Trump back.
Really? Why?
Because he was a great president. He's a great guy once you get to know him. I've known him since the early 90s, and it was funny. I can't remember the tournament. He flew his helicopter in. We played a Pro-Am. We went out back. We talked a little bit. And when he stood up, he says, mark my words, I'll be president of the United States one day. This is back in 92, 93, 94 maybe.
How? Did you believe him?
I did.
Interesting.
He's an unbelievable, smart individual that people got to get behind him. We've got to do something.
So, but among professional golfers, that's like a pretty common view.
No doubt.
How's his golf? How would you assess it?
I got to work with his chipping a little.
Urban Meyer's playing golf with him today, and then Urban's going to be at our house, and we're going to play golf tomorrow. So I cannot wait to hear how Donald Trump is as a golfer. But let's be honest, anybody, anytime, anywhere wants Donald Trump back. I mean, I get it, purple-haired fatty that's protesting something innocuous to the United States, but real Americans want Donald Trump back. Now, there's a lot to that. Things are going to have to get figured out, but of course they do. Oh, my God. I mean, look, some little woke golfer can come out and say we don't like Donald Trump. And let me ask you another question. Somebody called me, get rid of that MAGA crap, Dakich. Get rid of, I wrote it down, get rid of Make America Great Again. Why? Why would I get rid of MAKE America Great Again? MAGA. Why would I get rid of that? Why is that a negative? What are we supposed to do? Make Kazakhstan great again? Make Iran great again? Who do you want great? Well, it's just what it stands for. What does it stand for? Donald Trump was not a racist until he ran for president. All of your great, in your view, civil rights idiots went to Donald Trump for money, assistance, jobs back in the day. Well, he said, grab them by the bush. So what? A lot of businessmen in the 80s and 70s actually did grab them by the bush. Look at Wolf of Wall Street. Well, there was a housing thing. You're right. And he paid a hell of a fine for it. I mean, I understand that the purple-haired biggie that gets 2 seats on Southwest Airlines, I get it. She is the only perfect person, whatever she is. I get it. I get it that transgender whatever is the only perfect person. And those of us that have actually lived life in the public eye and made mistakes aren't. I get it. Media boy and girl are the only perfect human beings alive. I get it. We all do. But you know what? Kiss my backside with that. John Daly, I don't really like. I think he's a mess. I think he's gross. I think when you look at him, you go, man, cut your hair, shave, and take a shower. But he ain't wrong. Of course he's not wrong. What are you, nuts? Hey, I do want to get into this before I get into other things. Very sad news today. A lot of you may not know the name George McGinnis. George McGinnis was the best basketball player, is the best basketball player in the history of Indiana high school basketball, including Larry Bird. Don't even try it. George McGinnis' 51-30 rebound performance in the Indiana All-Star game when it was actually mattered. Then he went to Indiana for 1 year, averaged about 20 and 15. Then he went into the WNBA. He, Daryl Dawkins, Julius Erving, Lloyd Free, and the rest of them. World B Free won a championship, and he helped make money for NBA players. His free agency was off the chain. George won a couple ABA championships with Mel Daniels and the rest here in Indianapolis. Absolute icon and the nicest human being ever. I met George McGinnis first time. I was a freshman at Indiana. Pacers were having training camp at Indiana, and we were going to do a commercial. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just knew I was hanging out with a bunch of NBA players, and this was pretty cool. And Big Mac was the man. I mean, I didn't know every high school player in Indiana, but I knew who Big Mac was. He was well before my time, but I knew who Big Mac was. Absolutely knew Big George. And I'm like, man, and George McGinnis was the first of the full-body dudes. He was a big, strong, broad-shouldered dude, and he could not have been nicer. I just happened to be standing next to him going, I'm Mr. McGinnis. Hey, Dan, it's George. I'm like, George McGinnis knows my name? So we did some commercial about come to the Pacers or something like that. I don't even know. And then the next day, I happened during a break in my class schedule. I got done at like 10, didn't have another class. Maybe I was done. I went to Assembly Hall to watch the Pacers practice. And I came down the stairs by our locker room, and there's George McGinnis in full Pacer gear smoking a cigarette. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. He goes, hey, Dan, how you doing? I go, hey, Mr. McGinnis. No, it's George. He could not have been nicer. He's come on my show, could not have been nicer. Saw him at a couple golf events, could not have been nicer. George McGinnis passed away. George McGinnis is battling all kind of back problems, all kind of different health problems. But George McGinnis passed away. The Pacers announced it. And that sucks because that's a great man. That was a great, 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 great man. And I got to tell you, you can talk about Larry Bird. You can talk about Rick Mount. You can talk about anybody you want. But anybody that knows anything, Glenn Robinson, about Indiana high school basketball understands the greatest player ever was George McGinnis. Also, other side, happy birthday to our friend Big Fat Bob. The Big Fat Bob, as we call him. Gritty knows him. A lot of people know him. He has done more to help me and my family. He's a head of VSIN Sports. I guess I helped him too because I got him that job. But today is my friend Bobby Kaiser's birthday, and happy birthday to our friend, ladies and gentlemen, the Big Fat Bob. Hey, Trey Wallace is going to join us, and I'm looking forward to having a chat with the great Trey Wallace. I'm going to head off here, and I'm going to go over to the YouTube page and see what's popping. We got a nice crowd there. Yeah, who's your daddy? Rest in peace, George McGinnis. Yeah. And they say McGinnis, Big Mac, was a high school football legend as well. Look, here's the deal. People die, and I don't like it. And as you get older, people that you idolize die. Bob Knight died. George McGinnis died. I don't like it. I don't like anything about it. I don't. You know, it's like a part of your youth goes when people like that pass away. Hey, we got a great gambling segment coming on too, coming up here. Trey Wallace and I are going to discuss a couple things, including quarterbacks, where they're going. And Indiana fans, you want to hang out for this because the Hoosiers might actually be involved with a good one. We'll be right back.
Victoria's Secret used to be sexy. On that note, let's talk about Victoria's Secret because we continually talk about saving women's spaces, their sports leagues, their locker rooms, but we've never actually talked about their dressing rooms in retail stores. Well, now we also are getting the opportunity to talk about that one because the other day, according to an article by Newsweek, a trans woman started complaining on social media that Victoria's Secret mistreated them because they wanted to use a dressing room in one of their stores. So the trans person tweeted out this, quote, I was trying to find a cute bra at Victoria's Secret, and they made me wait until every cis woman left the dressing rooms before I could go into one of them. They even made other cis women wait until I had my turn, so no cis woman would have to be in any of the 5 other rooms. Obviously, she's meaning at the same time. So let's just examine this for what it's worth. A biological man, right, was trying on a cute bra Why? I don't know. Because if you were to see the picture of this trans person, there's nothing for the bra to cover, that I can tell at least. I'm not sure why you'd want to wear a bra, because as a woman, I can tell you that bras are not comfortable, and a woman looks forward to wearing a bra. So it's very puzzling why someone would go to all of the trouble to try to find a cute bra. But that's just me talking. Anyways, they were forced to wait by sales associates in order to, of course, protect the privacy of all the other actual women who are using the same space. And to which I say, cry me a river, right?
I'm just weird, Trey Wallace. Like, if I went on a visit, there's no way I would dress up in the team's gear. There's no way I'd do all the video shoot. I would never, not even close to do that. I'm looking at my dentist's son, Danny O'Neill, who decommitted from Boulder, from Colorado. And I saw a picture. Now he's committed with Sean Lewis. He went with Sean Lewis, and that's the reason he decommitted. He really likes Sean Lewis. He ends up at San Diego State. He's standing with a Lamborghini, his mom and his dad, in a full uniform. I got to tell you, not a chance in hell would I've done that. But again, everybody does, and I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong. I'm old school and stupid.
What do you mean you wouldn't dress up, man? You gotta,
no chance.
You gotta have the full flavor of recruiting. You gotta put the pads on, the helmet, the jersey.
Not a chance.
You gotta do the photo shoots. Come on, man.
No chance.
Posing in front of the Lamborghini?
I think it is a Lamborghini. You know, I'm old enough to remember a DeLorean. It's got those kind of, you know, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But I don't know. But the truth of the matter is, I ain't doing it. All right. What's a good quarterback? You know, I hear 1.5 million a year. You made the comment that depends how many years. What's a good quarterback going for? What's Cam Ward going for? What's the McCord, Kyle McCord? What's he going for?
I think it's different types of quarterbacks. You know, I think Kyle McCord is a guy that, you know, who's reportedly not going to Nebraska now. It's kind of fallen off, maybe go to Syracuse, something like that. Cam Ward making a visit down to, you know, he's visited Florida State. DJ Ungaleva from the Oregon State, you know, Beavers is making visits. I think it's, you know, in talking with folks, the market is somewhere right around, you know, probably $1 million to $3 million. If you got a really good quarterback, you know, that 4.5 range is thrown out to me from an agent. But I mean, there's speculation from a Georgia writer that Carson Beck, Georgia's starting quarterback from this season, was looking for potentially $4 million to return this year. So, you know, the market fluctuates for these players, you know, and, you know.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you buying that? And is that a 1-year thing for Beck? Are you buying that?
Yes, maybe the number a little bit less than a 4 million type of deal. Maybe 2.5, 3. Yeah, I'm buying it, because look who's the face of the program. Look who's talking about, like with Stetson Bennett. Like, Stetson Bennett made so much money for Georgia when he was the quarterback that, yeah, he would have been worth that type of money. I think that Carson Beck is the type of quarterback that, you know, there's some problems going on right now with Georgia when it comes to recruiting. Dylan Raiola potentially going to Nebraska. You might have to pay that amount of money just to have yourself a starting quarterback. You know, you got to remember, sometimes these teams get put into these situations where money's the only thing that's going to talk to keep that team together, at least at current spots. So it doesn't surprise me. That number feels probably about right. Just subtract about $1 million from it. But look, the market is what it is. I don't know if it is reset from the first year of NIL, Dan, and that's where we're seeing all the wackiness when it comes to contracts and years and whatnot.
Okay, so how does this work? How does it work? Who do they negotiate with? Does an agent and a dad or mom and kid or come into the head coach? How does this work, Trey? Walk us through.
So usually a kid will host coaches at home, and then they'll go on campus for an official or an unofficial visit.
No, I'm talking about a guy that's there. He's there.
Oh, you're talking about a current player. Okay,
Yeah.
well, a current player, you're going to look at production from last season. You're going to look, the coaching staff is going to see, okay, do we need to process this player to make room for somebody else? If not, if the player's good enough, that's when they'll go to the collective that's on that campus, whoever that might be. It could be the Nebraska, it could be the Ole Miss, whatever. Go to the collective, discuss what they think, and an agent usually is involved for high profile players. And they're going to say, Dan, hey, look, we think this guy's worth about 100,000 more a year or 200,000 more a year in NIL. That's what you're going to do to be able to keep him. And sometimes these collectives are the first ones to reach out because the coaches know, look, we can't lose this player. Like, yeah, there's a chance he goes to the NFL, but what if he goes undrafted, whatnot? Let's secure him in. Let's lock him in. Coaches can't talk about numbers or anything like that, supposedly. Okay. But that's when a collective comes in. That's when a collective is going to negotiate a deal, throw out that type of money. And it gets interesting when you bring these agents in, some of them who are not certified to do what they do. I mean, a lot of I've come across a lot of these so-called NIL agents you see nowadays used to be runners for big time agents who have now turned that gig into something else on college campuses, Dan. So to answer your question, a lot of it goes through the collective. And then, if the team wants them back or the coaches want them back, that's where you have a little bit of negotiating.
But the coaches can't talk money.
No.
All right.
Coaches can't talk, but coaches can't go into a house legally and sit down and say, okay, this is how much we're going to offer you. They can say, here's how they can say it, though. They can say, well, this running back made this much last year off his NIL and advertisement. So there's ways to get around it.
Okay, but if I'm back, I'm not only dealing with my school, because I got to know what my market value is to put up a number like 4 million. I got to know that somebody else is going to offer me that much money. No, I mean, so then agent or whoever the third party, whatever you call the third party, has to be talking to another person, right? Or another school.
Those agents are talking to other schools. Those agents are talking to other collectives.
Yeah.
And they look, if you got a smart agent, what schools are going to need a quarterback next year?
Right.
What team? Just like if you're a smart AD or a smart NFL agent, where a player or a coach needs to land, or a college football head coach. You're thinking 3 steps ahead. So you look at it right now, and you have to wonder to yourself, okay, does all this make sense when it comes to a financial standpoint? And for some teams, it does. A starting quarterback does. A starting running back usually does. An offensive lineman. So, yeah, a coach, coaches can't talk directly about money, but I mean, come on. Are we going to act like that's not happening in college football nowadays?
Well, let me ask you this latest thing by Charlie Baker. He wants the schools now to be able to talk, right? Isn't that what he's kind of proposing, the new NCAA head?
I'm pretty much proposing that, yes, they give an amount of money per year to every player that's on the roster, and then it gives the ability for the school who can raise funds through NIL and whatnot, or do their own type of business. It gives them the opportunity to negotiate as well. Yes. In a long form sense. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he wants. And look, otherwise, going to Manchin and Tommy Tuberville, they want some guardrails on this. And I think every coach wants some guardrails on this because everybody wanted free agency, but I'm not sure everybody wanted this, right?
Yeah, and I mean, nobody wanted where we're at now. NIL was set up for something completely different. It was set up for advertising, endorsing, and whatnot. It quickly turned into pay for play, which they should have saw that coming. If they didn't, that's egg on their face. But the NCAA wants to now try to, put everything back into the cage, 2.5 years later. And to be honest with you, it's going to be very hard to do. And paying a player, like, here's the other thing too, like the NCAA wants you to pay a player a certain amount of money. Okay, well, some players are worth a hell of a lot more money than others. So you've got to figure out where that line is and how much room you have when it comes to payments. Like, you can't just pay every player $50,000 and think that's going to make sense. So that's where collectives and whatnot come in too. But overall, I think Charlie Baker's kind of reaching with this one. I think they can use a little tinkering on it. And when they do, maybe Congress gets into it, but I don't see that happening until after the election.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. So a guy leaves, like the kid Leonard left, Riley Leonard left Duke. He knew where he was going.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You can say whatever. Notre Dame is the bastion of integrity, but that deal was done, right?
Well, another thing too is when you enter the transfer portal, you can click a button that says "Do not contact."
Right.
And when you click that button and coaches see that "Do not contact," they know, okay, this kid's already going somewhere else. This has been negotiated through their agent or somebody to get him at a different school. It's just like last year with Sam Hartman when he ended up at Notre Dame. And it's just like this year with Riley Leonard when he ended up at Notre Dame. You just, you kind of know where that's going to land. And if you have a good agent, well, that's what they're getting a percentage for.
No, so walk me through this. So Kyle McCord's supposed to go to Nebraska. Okay, whatever the reports are, it's not apparently going to happen. All right. Do you think that happens because there's a couple reasons? One, obviously that Dylan Reinhold is looking at going there, so maybe he doesn't want to do that. But so he's on the open market. I would think if they were money oriented, which they're not, Arch Manning would be on the open market, but going on the open market doesn't look like it's been a great thing for this McCord kid if he's going to end up somewhere like Syracuse or something like that, as opposed to being go ahead. Go ahead.
If you want to better opportunity from an offensive standpoint, Ohio State was held back last year because of Kyle McCord. And that's because Ryan Day made that decision and went with Kyle McCord. Okay. So when you look at it overall and where these quarterbacks go and how they end up, like, yeah, I'm sure there were some factors in Kyle McCord kind of backing out of the Nebraska thing. And honestly, that could have been Nebraska backing out of Kyle McCord. So it does go two ways. And also, if there are, let's just say NILs, if there's a number that they just don't feel comfortable enough paying for, they're not going to. They're going to go find another quarterback. And that's just the way this thing works in college football nowadays. So I think, look, there was some report yesterday that Kyle McCord and maybe Syracuse would be interested, something like that. Okay, that's fine. Like, you go play at a school like that, and they probably offer you a nice little NIL deal to come play at their school. But these high-profile quarterbacks, it's very interesting to see how these things are playing out. And I think the last domino to fall in all of this will end where we started is Carson Beck. Because if Carson Beck makes a move, and let's just say he leaves and goes to the NFL or something like that, that opens up the potential starting job at the University of Georgia. And I don't see them going with some true freshman, especially if it's not Dylan Raiola. So it makes things interesting. I know they have Gunnar Stockton there, but what I'm getting at is that it's like a trickle-down effect when it comes to NIL in these schools, and we've still got 2 more weeks to go with this thing.
I got to tell you, Trey, Kyle McCord, 3,100 yards, 24-6 touchdowns. They scored over 30 like 8 times, 9 times, and you said he held them back. The level is high, and I guess it should be. If you're going to be and demand that much money, then the level is insanely high, 11-1, and he can't beat a quarterback. Man, I don't know if this is great for kids or not, and where do high school kids fit into this?
Well, it's up to the head coach. If Ryan Day feels like he can go a different direction next season and have success, then and really what it comes down to is Kyle McCord was going to have to battle for the starting job.
Right.
That's how it was laid out to him. You want to stay here, you battle for the starting quarterback job. We're not going to hand it to you. So I think that where this thing goes and where it's at now, I think that we're at a crossroads right now. But I do think the market, compared to where we are, 2 years ago when a lot of this was done. I mean, the biggest thing that I have some time is when folks are a little naive and think this wasn't happening before NIL, or they weren't able to have these conversations. It was just all done under the dark in the hotel parking lot, or dropping a bag off at the door and whatnot. So it's one of those things right now, Dan, where the negotiating market is colliding with college athletics, and it makes people very uncomfortable.
I love it. I got to tell you, I thought, you know what, if I were coaching, I'd hate it. Recruiting your own players after you know as a coach what you've done for them would drive me mad. But as a fan, shoot, let's go. And I need my Hoosiers to stop bringing in James Madison or whatever the hell school that guy was from, and start bringing in some dudes. We got all these James Madison or whatever commits. I don't need that. I need Cam Ward. I need some money going on here.
Oh, okay. Unless you want to write that check there, Dan, that's not gonna happen. But never forget, one thing I will say, never forget, some of these top quarterbacks that you see across the country did start somewhere else. Yeah. Michael Penix? Where did Michael Penix start off at? I mean, I'm just saying, every now and then these schools have got to hold on to some of these players that they develop. I think that's the biggest thing that stands out to me.
Yeah, Michael Penix and Caleb DeBoer were both here on campus at Indiana.
I mean,
I don't even want to. The only thing I don't care about Indiana football other than I want to be in the conversation, because I want people of Indiana to understand that don't really follow. I want them to understand how much fun college football is when your team is good.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
Oh,
and especially with the 12-team playoff that's starting next year, where you get chances, you lose 2 games, you're still in the running for the college football playoff. So we're in a wild time right now, and some of these schools only have a certain amount of money, to be able to dole out at the moment. But that's only going to grow over the next couple of years. It's going to get bigger. A donor, here's how I said to somebody else, a donor is going to get pissed off. And he's going to say, okay, you know what? Here's $5 million. Go spend it on some players. I'm not going to give to the university or the construction, for the new basketball pavilion. I want to get some studs. And that's what he's going to end up doing. And we have seen that across college football.
I know. Like, I try to tell people the richest dude is not in Indiana, is not Mark Cuban. No, it's Mark Cuban's partner, yes. Todd Wagner. When they left to go start broadcast.com, Todd Wagner was the brains. Cuban was the marketer. Todd Wagner lives very privately, but he made about twice as what Cuban made. He's an Indiana grad. We got to get Todd Wagner going. Sheesh.
Yeah, get that money in there, Dan. Open up that checkbook, brother.
Hey, if I don't talk to you, give me the national championship game. Who wins Alabama, Michigan, and who wins Texas, Washington?
Alabama versus Texas in the national championship game, with the Longhorns raising the trophy on their way out of the Big 12.
Wow. Appreciate you, my friend. That was definite. That's why I like Trey. Trey just brought the goods today. He brought the goods.
Be good, my brother.
That was great stuff. That's an education right there. You can see the Trey Wallace podcast. He has all the biggest hitters, and you can read Trey here on OutKick.com. Congratulations to our leader, our sensei, the great Clay Travis. Clay Travis just, ladies and gentlemen, it was announced by Barrett Sports Media as the #1 news talk show in the country. Buck and Clay, or Clay and Buck. I can't remember which one it is. I always get those type of things screwed up. So good for Clay. I do not know why I just froze there. I hope I just froze here. But anyway, we'll be right back. Oh, baby, you want to get into this right now. You don't want to leave. Go tell your friends. We've got one of the best gambling segments that you're ever going to see. Dave Ross from VSIN is going to join us. He's a former military guy turned gambling guru. Yeah, let's go.
Welcome into OutKick the show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader. I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life. ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke, college graduate.
We live in a land of participation trophies.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the #1 overall pick.
Is it fair for people to be upset with Barbie?
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna live. What have you seen firsthand of how this has affected you in the plant and your fellow employees? Under Joe Biden, the Taliban has retaken Afghanistan. Putin has invaded Ukraine. So if there was ever a time for freaking aliens to inhabit and conquer Earth, now would be that time.
You're born a male, play with males. You're born a female, play with females. Don't at me about it. The American people are being cheated. We, ladies and gentlemen, are being cheated.
I made the call to end the Me Too movement, and today I'm going to continue making that case. And that's just a way to further taunt these women, to make them feel less than, to make them realize that this has just become a big joke.
And we were able to see you guys on the ground with your signs supporting. That was huge.
They were saying, oh, it's only 1 or 2. That's rubbish, and we all know that's rubbish. Once those trans-identifying males were able to succeed, it just encouraged.
You know, it's interesting. We were talking yesterday about Brett Musburger and how Brett Musburger should still be calling games. Brett Musburger, Al Michaels, now Tirico's moving in there. Jim Nant, when you hear them, you know it's a big game. Well, Musburger went and started VSIN, VSIN, Vegas Sports Information Network. The handle on VSIN is this guy right here. The great Dave Ross joins us. Hoo-yah! Or whatever. I never get it right, and I'm embarrassed. I'm not smart enough.
It's close enough, Dan. You nailed it. Yeah.
Thank you. He's a Marine. He's a gambling expert. We're going to talk about a lot of things. All right. I got to get into one thing because I'm ending this conversation this week. I am not doing this anymore at Florida State. I'm telling you, I didn't give a shit about Florida State. Florida State can be out. I want to see Alabama play Michigan, not Florida State. Where are you at with that?
Okay, I was one of those people that when we did it the old way with the computer, right, the BCS, I was like, yeah, we need to expand. You need to get the college football playoff, and you need to get it to 4 because the 4 is what makes it great because the 4 makes it hard, right? So you got to have tough cuts in life. And so like you and one of my good buddies, Brian McFadden, 2-time Super Bowl champion of the Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, he's a Florida State guy. Right. B-Mac and I work together, and I know B-Mac hates it when I say this, but I kept texting him all week. I'm like, you know what's going to happen, right? You know you're going to get screwed. And we've never seen it before. We've never seen an undefeated Power 5 champion be omitted from the college football playoff. So it's always worked out. We have never had in the 10-year history of the BCS, of the college football playoff, rather, we've never had a situation where we went, the wrong team won. We've never had the debate at the end of the year, who's the best team. They've gotten it right every year. I think this is the first year you can actually say, did they get it right? Bama is better than Florida State, period, cut and dry. But then they go, well, what's the criteria? The thing is, there is no criteria, right? They go, well, the precedent has been set. That's why you get precedent. What precedent has been set? The committee goes in there and says, who do we want? And you can talk about TV ratings, talk about all the things you want to talk about. They have the 4 best teams that are in there. Now, you can make the case, is Washington better than Georgia? Even though Washington is undefeated and Georgia has a 1 loss, you can make that argument that Georgia is better than Washington. I'll listen to it. But they kind of did half merit for Washington for winning the Pac-12, which was an elevated conference, ironically, in the last year of their existence, right? But they just said Florida State down to a 3rd-string quarterback, although the backup would have been back in time for the college football playoff, was not good as Alabama. Look, what's the best win in college football this season? Period. What's the best win? It's Alabama.
Texas.
It's Alabama
over Alabama,
Georgia.
Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
That's what I'm
Fair argument, but I will say it's Georgia losing on a neutral field to Alabama in the SEC title game. And I kept saying all week, there's no way they're going to leave out the SEC champion. It's just not going to happen after they left Alabama out a year ago. They're not going to do it 2 years in a row. I think they got the 4 right teams in on the best 4. Did they get the right 4 team on principle? Probably not.
That's right. And I've always said this on shows, forever. I don't care about the rankings during the season because it always plays itself out.
Yep.
And to your point, this is the 1 year. Well, it didn't play itself out. And then people say, hey, look, we gotta fix this system. Well, it's fixed. It's fixed.
It's coming.
Next year we got 12, right? I want to hear about it.
It would have been perfect, Dan, for this year. I don't need to go to 12. I would have listened to the argument of going to 6. Right, so you get the Power 5 champions in there, and then you kind of get a wild card at large, if you will. I would have liked that because buddies, we always talk about the hard is what makes it good. It's not going to be hard anymore. All you're going to do from protecting the teams from now on, it's going to be you're protecting Georgia, you're protecting Alabama. You're protecting 2-loss Oregon. You're protecting the big boys. You're not protecting the little guys. No. You're not giving the other schools a chance to get in. You're just getting more of the same. So the Ohio State-Michigan game would have been irrelevant. It wouldn't have mattered. Both schools would have gotten in. Washington, Oregon, what a great Pac-12 title game that was right here in Las Vegas. Wouldn't have mattered. Both teams in. So the 12, of course I'm going to watch. Of course I'm going to be interested. But is it as good as fixing the system to 6 from 4? No, it's not, because it's going to be watered down. It is going to take away the best regular season in sports, and that's college football. That's going to go away, and they don't see it now, but it will go away, and you will not have the same level of importance that we see week in and week out in college football, because they know potentially, depending on what conference you play in, we can't slip up at all, even if you're at Florida State in the ACC. So all of that goes away starting next year.
I'm with you on that. I am. I love it. I know my fat ass is going to be sitting there watching.
Right, we're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in on it. And thank God for gambling. Speaking of gambling, you're the perfect guy to ask. Did your show, did VSIN, did you change any predictions? I know it's only December. Mm-hmm. But Ohtani all of a sudden's with the Dodgers. They got 3 guys making $10 billion between Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Ohtani. Does this change? How big does this change? How much does this change what the futures of the Dodgers betting wise is going to be? What does it do?
It does move it. It does move the market. Ohtani is the ultimate market mover. Now, he's not going to pitch next year. We know he's just going to hit, but obviously when you're the best two-way player since Babe Ruth, it's going to change markets. But to the point, Dan, of here, VSIN, you're right. It doesn't change it all that much because the Dodgers are always a perennial favorite anyway, right? They're going to be in the short list every year in the National League. It's going to be the Dodgers. It's going to be the Braves. That's where we're going to start the conversation each and every year. And then you look to the longer shots, like maybe a Cubs or, a Philadelphia Phillies and so on down the road. But the Dodgers were going to be the short favorites with Atlanta anyway. Now it just makes them the clear-cut favorite in the National League. But the Dodgers have a way of kind of dodgering. Maybe it's a LA thing, like Chargers and charging, right? That somehow, even with the best team, they don't figure out a way to get to the finish line. So to me, what I talk about on the network all the time is I'm not going to play short favorites. It's just not, to me, that smart now to invest your money for 10 months down the rest of the way here to see if you get a short return on your investment of the Dodgers. I'd look for better ways to play that market. And again, they get off to a slow start. If they get off to a slow start, those numbers could drift a little bit off the top of the year. They're never going to go away because the big boys are still the big boys in baseball. It is the have and have-nots. That's what's different from the NFL with a salary cap. And what they were able to do with Ohtani's contract is it's revolutionary. Now, it has been done kind of before because we still have Bobby Bonilla Day, right, where you're still getting $1 million every July 1st, which is ingenious that they were able to pull that off. And I know Steve Phillips well, the former GM of the New York Mets, and he always reminds me, he's like, Dave, I didn't give Bobby Bonilla that deal. That wasn't me. I get blamed for it all the time, that that wasn't me, but it was actually in essence a genius deal. It's a sweetheart deal for the team. And that's exactly what's happening here with Ohtani and the Dodgers. They're just deferring the money down the road so they have more cap space this year. They don't get as big a hit on the luxury cap, and now they can go get a Tyler Glass now if they want to go get a Tyler Glass now to put with the Freddie Freemans and the Mookie Bettses of the world and just keep adding to that payroll. It is a super team that Dave Roberts has, but if anybody could screw it up, it might be Dave Roberts.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Hey, I did see Steve Phillips thank the Dodgers for getting him off the hook on Twitter. I saw him do that, and I thought that's
awesome.
pretty funny.
Right? I love Steve because, again, I'm a diehard Metropolitan fan, and I used to do a show with Steve in Chicago, and I'd always get on him about some of the. He's like, wasn't me. Like, you guys always blame the wrong people for some of these deals, and I've never seen a deal like this one in LA where it basically says if the front office is out, Shohei is out. I mean, Dan, have you ever heard of something like that? I mean, it's insane that you could tie the leverage of the player to the front office. You talk about job security. I mean, that is an ingenious sweetheart deal for the front office to go along with Shohei.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. All right. We've been talking about, and my good friend Alan Cashman got it early. He got plus 4,000 on Dak Prescott. Now Dak Prescott's plus 150. Where are you at with the MVP race in the NFL?
Okay, I made a play a couple of weeks ago after the Cowboys had beat Seattle on the Thursday night. This is only not even 2 weeks ago, right? I got Dallas to win the NFC East at 7-1. Now, at that point, they were 2 games behind Philadelphia, but I looked at it and I went, wait, so the Cowboys already won their game this week. The Eagles have to play the Niners at home, and if the Niners are who we think they are, and then they go to Dallas the following week. Lo and behold, now all of a sudden that futures market there, Dallas is down to about 2-1. I would rather play the Cowboys than Dak at the shorter number because to me it's tied in. If the Cowboys win the East and get the number 1 seed, which they're in play for, tied with the Niners right now, obviously they need San Francisco to lose. But if they win the NFC East, Dak's going to win the MVP. So there's still a longer number right now in the Cowboys to win the NFC East at plus $2, plus 250 than Dak to win the MVP. I think if he goes to Buffalo and the Cowboys go to Buffalo this week and lose, and Josh Allen has a monster day, all of a sudden, all those Josh Allen tickets you ripped up at the beginning of the year, this market is so volatile that if Brock Purdy has won in different game, because there's a narrative out on Brock that he's a game manager and he's a Mr. Irrelevant. I think all of that stuff is silly, Dan. And I hate getting involved in markets that are narrative driven, that I have to rely on other people to think the way I do. So that's why I would advise you, if you're in the Cowboy market, play the Cowboys to win the East, because that's tied to Dak being the MVP. And you get a longer number right now in Dallas to win the NFC East than you do Dak Prescott to win the MVP.
Yeah, that's interesting. The Purdy thing, I know what's his name came out, Cam Newton. We give idiots too much time. You know what I mean?
Dan, isn't it funny, though? Isn't it funny how mad people get because a former MVP has an opinion? I don't agree with Cam. I think he's wrong. But to see the talking heads lose their mind on 4-letter networks because all of a sudden, how dare Cam Newton think somebody might be a game manager? I mean, they said that about Tom Brady for 15 years. And I went, game manage me the way Tom Brady does it. That's fine by me. Like, somehow that's become an insult. But I love how fired up and infuriated people have because Cam has an opinion they disagree with.
Hey, a friend of mine said, hey, look, man, game managers win Super Bowls.
Yes.
I don't give a damn. Game managers, what do you like? Let me go first. College football playoff.
Yeah.
What are you liking from a betting perspective?
Okay, we might differ on this one, Dan, but we've got some mutual buddies that know Jim Harbaugh very well. I'm a big Harbs guy. I've met him a couple times in my passing. And I look at it and I go, there's a lot of respect in the betting market for Alabama. It's the reason why we talked about it off the top of the show here, why they're in the college football playoff. I really want to back Michigan in this spot because it's as cheap a spot as you're going to get on the Wolverines going forward. But really, when you break them down, are they dynamic? No, they're not dynamic. They're physical, and they try to win the line of scrimmage. But what's a Nick Saban? Are you going to win the line of scrimmage against a Nick Saban team? So while I feel like all the popular money and America's money is going to come in on Alabama, as much as I'm a Michigan man and want to root for them to win, I actually think it's the right side. So I lean towards Alabama in that matchup against Michigan. But where I really think the value is is Washington. This is the undervalued team to me that still nobody is talking about here. I couldn't believe that I was catching 9.5 points against Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game out here in Las Vegas with the Huskies. And I went, did I miss the first game where they played Oregon basically dead even? And I know Dan Lanning had a couple calls at the end of the first half and a turnover late that decided the game, but it was always within that touchdown variance anyway. And then you're getting 9.5 on a neutral field. And now they're catching 4 against Texas. And Texas is kind of the new sweetheart, right? Because they got the Alabama win, which is, to your point, maybe if not the best win in college football, but one of the best. I think the Huskies are being overlooked. I think they're being certainly they're not being valued in the betting market. Give me the 4 points in Washington. I think they're going to win the game outright against Texas.
84% rule. If you're going to take the underdog and the points, you might as well take them to win, because 84% of the time they win the freaking game if they cover. You know what I mean? So
identify
that 84%
the winner
rule. And I'll tell you something else. I would hope the betting public learned, Vegas isn't wrong much, but they've learned that Washington has a certain toughness to them, because they were all day against Oregon in the championship, Pac-12 championship game. They were all day as a double-digit underdog. They were all day winning that game.
Yeah, they were more physical than Oregon. I mean, they beat them up at the line of scrimmage. And while Texas is Steve Sarkisian, they're kind of flash and they're kind of sexy. They can get punched in the mouth. And I think you're going to see a lot of punching in the mouth from that Husky defense. I'd be really surprised if they get overworked by Texas. I don't see it that way. I'm with you. And, Brent Musburger, you mentioned him off the top. Brent, I can just hear his voice. And by the way, whenever I have a show and I'm introed by Brent Musburger, you don't think the hair on my arm stands up just a little bit that he's saying my name? So, I hear Brent Musburger's words in my head, which are basically, if you can identify the winner of the game, kind of the points sometimes are irrelevant. So give me the 4. I'll take them in case it's a field goal game. But I'm with you. I think Washington wins this game outright. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised, like they were surprised in the Pac-12 title game, that Washington is as good. You mentioned Michael Penix with your last guest, the Indiana transfer. I mean, that kid is a revelation. And I work with a Hoosier too, Dan, and it pains him to see what Washington has become from the exoduses of Indiana. So it's like, hey, man, Michael Penix is the truth. That guy's got as live an arm as you're going to see. I know he throws it into coverage sometimes too much for my liking, but I think there's a really good chance that I know how good Nate Ewers is, and I know how good Texas is. The best quarterback on that field that night might be Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, DeBoer and Penix. We took Tom Allen. I didn't have enough money.
Man.
I don't know, man.
But you're getting James Madison, the Dukes, baby, the Dukes.
Yeah, and all we're getting out of Cignetti is former James Madison recruits. Come on. I mean, start spending some money here.
You're getting a Pittsburgh guy. You're getting a tough guy. That's what you're getting out there. That's what they're selling.
I know, and good for him. And I'm all in. I want Indiana to be good. You got any bets for this weekend?
I do. The New Mexico Bowl. And again, not maybe the sexiest bowl out there, but it's New Mexico basically playing a home game, right? New Mexico State. And I look at it and I go, well, Fresno State's got the better talent, but they don't have their head coach, Jeff Tedford. And Tedford really is one of those kind of quarterback whisperers, offensive geniuses. We give those labels out a lot. He really is one of those guys. So to me, I'm going to look for a team playing a home game, laying a small number. I got a better number a couple weeks ago. It's flipped now. They're now 4-point favorites over Fresno State. But there's one team that I think really wants to be there, and one team that might be thinking about their coach that's not going to be there. Yeah, give me New Mexico State in that one. One more, Dan, that I'm going to give you. I had Missouri, and I played them a couple weeks ago when they were underdogs against Ohio State. They have flipped to the favorite now with all the transfers, and Kyle McCord has already left school and left campus, which is bizarre to me, but that's a story here nor there. Give me the motivated team in Missouri against the team that does not want to be there in Ohio State. I think Missouri wins that game outright.
I agree with that. I agree with the Missouri thing. The New Mexico State, I'm just going to take your opinion on it, but I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, Missouri, that coach makes fun of stuff. That coach seems to have everybody, he seems to have everybody packed in here, and this bowl game is going to be a deal to them. Like, Ohio State fans think nobody should lose, and if Brian Day loses, then he should be fine. I mean, God, they're giving me a headache, these people, if you want to know the truth. They are. Even my good friends are giving me a headache.
It does have one of those feels. You remember, when Alabama didn't make the college football playoff, then they played Utah, and it's like sometimes teams just aren't interested when they're not playing for the big thing, right? And Ohio State does not care. I mean, what does beating Missouri do for the legacy of Ohio State? Absolutely nothing. What does it do for Missouri? It does everything, right? It does everything in recruiting. You know how this works better than most. So you're going to look at this and go, give me the motivated football team, laying a small number. Again, I got it at plus money. Those days are gone, but I'd still lay the small number with Missouri because I just think they're going to be a team that wants to be there. You have to look for those angles. Motivated teams against unmotivated teams.
Yes.
It's easy to find. You just kind of have to go down that huge list of bowl games that you have and identify one or two.
I think this year I'm in all these different like confidence pools, and one is a huge family deal, not a bunch of families, but I think this year is the most difficult because I've always gone who wants to be there and who doesn't want to be there. But who's going to play? Who's not going to play? McCord leaves Ohio State. What the hell is that? I mean,
he's already at his third school. It looks. I mean, the transfer portal is insane. It's absolutely insane. Like he's already decommitted. He's left Ohio State already decommitted from one school. And it is the wild, wild west of college football.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I don't know if it's good or bad. I got to have you back on, man. I appreciate your time today, Dave. Thanks.
Absolutely, Dan. Anytime.
Well, that was a lot of fun. That's Dave Ross. Check him out on VSIN. Now, you got the handle on VSIN. You got to understand VSIN. VSIN is freaking awesome. Our friend Wes Reynolds went from Bloomington, made his way out there, and Dave has a great show. And we thank him for being here. A lot of you are reacting to George McGinnis. Look, George McGinnis, you got to be a certain age to appreciate Big Mac. And he passed away today, and the Pacers put something out. But in basketball, George McGinnis did a number of things. One, he revolutionized basketball in the state of Indiana as a high school kid. Then he goes to Indiana for 1 year. He was really the first guy to go hardship. He left Indiana after a year. The ABA gave him a ton of money. He went there, went to the Pacers, won ABA championships, established professional basketball in the great state of Indiana. And you know what? He died, and this is a big deal. I mean, look, I understand Bobby Knight was a big deal. I do. But I also understand the significance of George McGinnis, and that significance in the great state of Indiana basketball cannot be overstated. It just simply can't. And anybody that's saying, I don't know who he is, I don't care who he is, well, you just, then keep your mouth shut. Let me put it to you that way. Just, hush your face. As my daughter says to me all the time, just hush your face, okay? Hush your face, understand what you don't understand, and let others do the talking for you because, you're going to sound stupid. No, it's true. You're going to sound dumb if you don't understand George McGinnis, and sit and learn. Cover of Sports Illustrated when his free agency was going on, joined a super team with Doug Collins, World B. Free, Daryl Dawkins, Steve Mix, of course, the great Dr. J, Julius Erving. And they got a championship. People felt like they should have won more championships, and that's fine too. But they did get a championship, and a lot of us, that's all they can. All right. Thanks to Dave Ross for joining the show. The Damn Awards, ladies and gentlemen. The Damn Awards brought to you by, me and Dylan and Nick and Ryan and Aaron. That's who brings you the Damn Awards. Stud of the Week. Anybody else but Tommy DeVito? I think Tommy DeVito is giving a Wally Pip type effort to Daniel Jones. Remember Daniel Jones, if anybody ever looked like Duke, it was Daniel Jones. If anybody looked like Syracuse, it was Tommy DeVito. I mean, seriously, think about it. Daniel Jones, statuesque. Perfect hair. Looks like the frat boy. Tommy DeVito looks like the guy that goes to the bar, and he's always throwing money around, even in college. I don't know whether he had money. I mean, this is a stereotypical thing I'm doing with Tommy DeVito, but that's what he looks like. That's what stereotypes are. That's why I always tell Lee I hate what I look like, because I look like the old coach, and I never wanted to look like the old coach. I look like the old coach. Boy, I'll tell you what, back in the 80s, we used to coach him up. Oh, golly gee. Anyway, Tommy DeVito's a stud. He's led the Giants to 3 wins, and they are sniffing like my dog in my crotch around the playoffs. Yeah, they are. And Tommy DeVito, I don't know. How about the decision you got to make? I just want you to think about this. Let's say that DeVito established himself. He doesn't go Josh Dobbs. He doesn't show why he's a backup ultimately. And Tommy DeVito becomes a real guy. I think he is right now. But he really solidifies this as a starting quarterback. What do you do if you're the Giants? You just gave a king's ransom. You just said to your entire franchise in the entire city, most important guy, athlete in this city is Daniel Jones, and now he can't even beat out Tommy DeVito? Wow. That's going to be fun. No, it's really going to be fun. Hey, moron of the week, I'm going with LeBron James. We could go with two. We could go with the LeBron James, and we can go with Draymond Green. I'll put them both in there. We could put all three of them in there if we want. We can add Hunter Biden for not showing up at his subpoena. We can add any Biden for just being idiots in the Biden family. But the morons of the week are plenty. And LeBron James walking in front of everybody, which I get. Look, national anthem, people are looking up here. He gets to get to his seat. He doesn't get bothered. But then you just stand up. It's simple. Take off your hat. Maybe he wasn't wearing his hairpiece. You got hairpiece? Anyway, maybe he wasn't wearing it, so he didn't want to take his hat off. But that's what you do. And if some little writer says, well, that's what he always does, then he's always a jackass. I don't give a damn if a 6'9" guy can put a ball through a hoop. Stand for the anthem. And those of you that are saying, well, that's what our guys fought for, not standing, good. And they also fought for me criticizing and making LeBron James the moron of the week. The strangest story of the week, I got to tell you, the strangest story is the mayor of Boston. The mayor of Boston had a non-whites party. And I'm going to say that again. No white people were invited to her party. All right? It's unbelievable, this woman. The mayor of Boston sent out a holiday party invite meant for electors of color. You know who she's married to, this Michelle Wu? She's married to a white dude. Everybody's married to a white dude. Mark Jones married to a white sister. They're all married to white women. AOC, white dude, hates white people. That one that married her cousin, married to a white dude. Everybody's married to a white. Honorable members, on behalf of Michelle Wu, Mayor, I cordially invite you to be guests elected of color holiday party. Wow. The invitation was meant only for the city's 6 counselors of color. Man, how about that? They excluded white leaders. Now, what if we decided to do this the other way? I think people should start doing it. Hey, if that's what we're going to do, let's do. Oh, my God, you're racist. No, not at all. I mean, if we don't want white people at our parties and you want to have a party, hell, there is a bakery in Indianapolis or northern part of Indiana that couldn't make a cake or said, I ain't making a cake, a wedding cake for a homosexual couple. Everybody lost their mind. I mean, the racism, the flipping racism is fascinating to me. And it's not just, of course, it's not just in commercials. I mean, the anti-Semitism, as Bruce Pearl said, all you got to do is flip it. All you got to do is look at it. All you got to do is go, hey, what if that were about African Americans, the genocide? What if that were about Asians? Huh? It's ridiculous what we're allowing. But look, that's why we have places like this, OutKick, where we're not going to be afraid to stand up. You can call me whatever you want. I got called a racist by the dumbest human being I ever met, a guy named Drew Shafino, the other day. Oh, my God, you're racist. Yes, I am. Sure, right, whatever. It's the dumbest world that we're living in, and we need to stop it. Seriously, it just needs to stop. A whites-only party or black-only party by some woman, Asian woman, that's married to a white dude. Who's Kamala Harris married to? She hates white people. Married to a white dude. It's all for show. Worst week, Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney, all you had to do was not line up off sides. All you had to do, and I was listening with my daughter yesterday to New Heights, which is the podcast of the Kelsey brothers, and it's really good. No, it's really good. And boy, I got to tell you, Travis Kelsey bent over backwards, and good for him to protect his teammates, both the wide receivers who keep dropping passes, and Kadarius Toney was dumb enough to, well, be off sides, and good for him. Yeah, I don't know what I feel. I don't know if I feel good, bad, happy, or sad, but Toney was stupid. All you got to do is look, wait, I'm on the ball, just move an inch back. Just act like you're moving back. That's it. That's all. And then, of course, Patrick Mahomes acted like a spoiled little brat and couldn't have been a bigger jackass about himself, because that's what people do. If you ever watch that quarterback show, I watched it one time. And all after the game, Patrick Mahomes did was talk about Patrick Mahomes. And I had enough. That's over. That's done. Well, you know, I and all the little minions were sitting there going, yeah. And like Stugotz with Lebitard, I think somebody got the knee pads out in case, well, you know, Patrick needed a little something. Nah, it's gross. So anyway, Kadarius Toney, just line up where you're supposed to. And they've been one of the greatest plays ever. And quit. You got to have some rules. I understand we're in a society where there are some rules for us, some rules for them, some rules for them, some rules for us. I get it. But damn. Hey, when we come back, I got some headlines, including what's going on with Duke's quarterback, why Brittany Mahomes is still as annoying a human being as there is. Lakers doing something I absolutely can't believe. And for old guys like me, pickleball rules. And by the way, I'll tell you about my ass kicking that I gave Lee yesterday. We'll be right back.
Folks, you would have thought after a multi-million-dollar lawsuit from Nick Sandman, aka the Covington Catholic student who was railroaded by the mainstream media for literally standing and smiling, that said mainstream media would have learned a lesson. But nope. If there is a white male that can be defamed, slandered, or canceled regardless of the merit or truth of the accusations, well, members of the activist media will find that white male and go to town. And that's exactly what happened to this young Kansas City Chiefs fan after Deadspin's senior writer, Karin J. Phillips, published a hit piece on the boy for supposedly wearing blackface to the game. The headline of the article: the NFL needs to speak out against the Kansas City Chiefs fan in blackface native headdress. The article also included this one-sided and deceptively skewed photo of the boy to prove the point that this kid is a racist, flagrantly parading around his racism at an NFL game. Damn, and it looks bad, doesn't it? Unless you provide just the tiniest amount of truth and context and show the whole damn photo of the little boy whose face is indeed painted black, but half black, not to promote racism, but as a part of the red and black colors of the flippin' Kansas City Chiefs. Furthermore, according to the boy's mother, he is of Native American descent. Oh. So was this an honest mistake by Deadspin writer Karin J. Phillips? Or was this just a sick and underhanded ruse to get clicks and ruin this young boy's life for no freaking reason at all? Well, I'm going to go with the latter, given Phillips doubled down with this post on X. That tweet is now deleted, but the damage is already done. These race hustlers are shameless. They are vultures and leeches and a disgrace to journalism. They are so hungry to find racism, they will literally create it where it doesn't exist.
Man, this has been a fun as hell show. Dave Ross was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Trey Wallace gave you a master class in how to handle or what's going on with quarterbacks. Speaking of quarterbacks, I don't know if this is Notre Dame like. I honestly don't know. So last year, Sam Hartman comes over, and what do we got to do? We got to, he's the greatest. Oh, he's fantastic. Oh, he's tremendous. They go 9-3. Oh, they got not Reggie Freeman. Reggie Freeman was a good basketball player. Marcus Freeman. Reggie Freeman was really good at Texas. I'll tell you a story someday about Felipe Lopez and Reggie Freeman and Coach Knight, but I digress. So Marcus Freeman is a very handsome man. Everybody loves Marcus Freeman. By all accounts, he's a great dude, but he keeps bringing quarterbacks from other places. Now, if I was a quarterback, there's not a chance in holy hell I would go to Notre Dame other than for the education. Why? Well, I got to tell you why. Because he keeps bringing in quarterbacks over the top of high school quarterbacks. The latest is Riley Leonard. Now, this is a good fit. I think Hartman was a good fit. He seemed to be a Notre Dame kind of quarterback, and they did go 9-3. And they had a real chance to go 10-2 and be involved had they beaten Ohio State. But Kyle McCord did a great job in the last drive, but now it starts again. Listen to this. See, while here at Indiana, we're getting James Madison recruits, former Duke quarterback Riley Leonard, who basically accounted for 1.5 touchdowns every time he played a game, whether it was running or passing. He's transferring to Notre Dame. He's calling it his dream come true and will be immediately eligible to play. Yeah, it's your dream come true. I mean, you play at Duke. Duke has a decent year. Think about Duke right now. Duke is like a feeder system. Elko leaves, the coach. He goes to Texas A&M. The quarterback leaves to go to Notre Dame. You're a feeder system, Duke. That's not good. See, that's why you can't take the ACC serious. That's why another reason, not the reason, but another reason why Florida State can suck it. Florida State, the ACC, when it's Louisville, who wasn't very good, Florida State, who beats him with a third-string quarterback, and then Duke becomes a farm system, and Mac Brown is still fat, rich, lazy, and still making money coaching North Carolina. He got nothing as a conference until, of course, or unless, of course, Miami of Florida decides to get Luther Campbell and start cheating again. Bobby Bowden and the crew, well, they don't have any problem because they're back. Norvell is back. But I got to tell you, don't be a feeder system. You're ACC. You're Duke. You got more money than God. Krzyzewski built you buildings. Go pay the quarterback, get him back, and get into a decent bowl. Clean yourself up, Duke. I'm not so sure that Brittany Mahomes isn't the most annoying of the current wives. I have this thing where, look, I don't want to hear from mommies. Well, guys used to say in recruiting, well, if you think I'm tough, you should see mother. No, I don't want to hear. Yeah, the mothers are. Just stop. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear from wives. I don't want to hear from mothers. I never have. Well, my wife's, I don't care. No interest. No interest. You know what I mean? I just don't care. Well, the wives are getting together. Don't care. Don't care about quarterbacks' wives. Don't care about anything. Don't care about none of it. And I particularly don't care about Brittany Mahomes. Look, a 26-year-old or 28-year-old little entitled diva calling the refs an MVP after the Patrick Mahomes game, just shut up. Seriously, just shut up. Well, you're telling women to shut up. That's not very nice. Good, it's not very nice. Riding with 15 always, she said, because we need to know. She accused the refs of screwing the Chiefs in the 2021-22 AFC Championship game against Joe Burrow. She's upset about her husband was whipped down on a sack against the Texans by Malik Collins. She says the inconsistency of roughing the passer calls were BS, and she's sick of dirty hits. Here's the deal. Brittany, you're sick of it. Yeah, I'm really sick of it. Here's the deal. Go over there and be sick of it. Just go. No. Go. No. We want you to be sick. We want to hear. Just go over there and be sick of it, and we don't want to deal with it. Gives a crap about Brittany frickin' Mahomes. She's a pain in the prick. That's what she is. So now she's whining about her husband. I will ride. Shut up. Shut up. The real MVP of the game was the Buffalo Bills. Now, see, here's the problem. I like Patrick Mahomes. I like Kelsey. I like Chris Jones. I really like Chris Jones. But I'm tired of him. Yeah, and you know what? I don't get tired of Mahomes. I don't want to be tired of Mahomes. I'm tired, aren't you? Let me go to the YouTube chat and see. Tired of him. What the hell do I want with Patrick Mahomes' wife? The real MVP. Okay. All right, Brittany. Okay. If you say so, Brittany. The real MVP. Shut up. Go have a girls' night. Go drink white wine with Taylor Swift or whoever and talk about your boyfriends and your husbands and talk about yourself. I've had enough. Los Angeles Lakers are all in on the mid-season, in-season, whatever the hell you call it, tournament. They only used to hang championship banners in the NBA in the Forum. They only in Staples hang championship banners, but now their in-season championship, the IST championship banner, will be hanging in the rafters. That's right. It's reminiscent of the Colts, hanging a AFC finalist championship banner. That's right. You guys scoff, but when you can go, and there isn't a fan alive, there is not a fan alive. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you think you are that understands how the Final Four teams were placed in Vegas in the in-season tournament, IST. The NBA IST championship banner will hang. I guarantee you why. Because LeBron James wants to make a big deal about it so he can add it as a championship. The dude was actually spraying champagne on the in-season tournament. Now, that's good. That's really good for the NBA. The NBA should want that. They should. The NBA should say, this is what we want. This is what we need. We want to make this bigger and better, bolder, that kind of thing. You want to know how sad our world is? A Seattle student failed a quiz for answering only women can get pregnant. Jesus. The quiz claimed that it was also false that all men have penises. A history teacher at a Seattle high school gave a student a failing quiz grade when he answered that only women can get pregnant. Ethnic studies world history teacher in 10th grade at Chief Sealth International High School administered a quiz. The test focused on understanding gender versus sex. Asked students to answer a series of multiple choice questions, true or false. Question 4. Ask students to identify whether the statement, all men have penises, is true or false. Oh, man. The student marked the statement true, which was labeled as incorrect by the teacher. Question 7. The question asked students to identify whether the statement, only women can get pregnant, was true or false. The teacher marked the student's answer incorrect when the student said true. Man. Some other questions. You ready? Answer this. When someone uses they, them pronouns, does that mean, what does that mean about the gender identity? And true, false, transgender people are gay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, how is this legal? I guess you can teach anything at whatever school you want. Man, oh man. No, I tell you what, if you got a vagina, you can be a man. No, you're not. No. Just stop it. Just stop it with all the stupid, absolutely stupid, idiotic. I mean, it's not going to stop either. But you know what? Here's the thing, and I want you to understand this. I'm looking for this right here. It doesn't affect you. That really doesn't. Let me ask you guys a question. Have you ever been affected by any of this stupidity? Like I asked Lee the other day, I told you this story before, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, whenever the Final Four was in Minneapolis. Maybe it's longer than that. I don't know. Lee and I had a team dinner. Our team was, ESPN guys, and we went to dinner. Where's this thing here? And we're walking back. And out of a tree, like out from behind a tree, I don't even know where this thing showed up. A dude with an Adam's apple, high heels, dress, makeup, pops out of the tree. Hey, can I ask you a question? And I'm like, absolutely not. Leave us the hell alone. You can call that whatever. So I asked Lee. The other day we were actually talking about it. I go, was that a transgender, transsexual, transvestite, just a dude dressed up as a chick? I mean, what was that? And we don't have an answer. I would fail every quiz. I just know this. Dude, chick, whatever, pops out of the trees at whatever time it was. It probably wasn't that late, but it was dark. So it was 10, maybe. I don't know. I don't stay out late anymore. I wish I did, but I don't. Anyway, dude pops out, heels, dress. Nice figure, by the way. No. Hey, can I ask you a question? Shut up. Go away. Yeah. If that makes me bad, that makes me bad. Here's something near and dear to my heart. As yesterday, Lee got her ass kicked by me in pickleball right there, right down the street. 2 days ago, I got my ass kicked by her. Now, technically, I'm a senior citizen. Now, I don't like it. I've never really used my AARP card. I don't have one, but I should. I mean, I'm 61 years old, for crying out loud. I should get the AARP card. I should go get the 50 cents off or whatever it is at McDonald's. But I don't feel like it. You know what I mean? I don't feel like being older. I don't feel like giving in. I don't want to move to Florida on a golf community and go, hey, you know, I don't really want to do that. But now you know what they're saying. They're saying pickleball is good for seniors' mental health. Yeah, well, I would think so. I mean, look, it's the nicest group of people in any sport. They say it's low impact, but when Lee and I play one-on-one, it kills you. It absolutely kills you. And it's a very social sport. I want to get involved in the Indianapolis pickleball community. I do. I think it's a pretty good place to hang. But, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot give in. I'll be 80 years old and I'll still be side-eyeing some 50-year-old. You know. And I go, why? What'd I do? As I always say to Lee, what'd I do? Because you're a pig. Yeah, maybe. I mean, what are you going to do? You know what? I don't know. But of course, pickleball helps boost mental health. It offers adaptability and accessibility. That's right. You know, I had a stalker for 10 years. I did. I had a stalker 10 years. First day I showed up working at Emma's, my radio show, I got a thing full of flowers, $250. I called the florist. It was my stalker. I used to get these long letters. When I went back to Indiana in 07, 08, I got this long letter about how she knew I saw her, but I had to look away because I was married. I had no idea who this person was. I used to get these, I share them with my wife, actually both wives. But my stalker broke up with me. My stalker broke up with me after sending me a Cubs book at Emmis as well. The email or the voicemail came in saying, hey, look, maybe I should stop. I understand you're married. I'm like, do whatever you want. But I never got to this point. An arrest warrant has been issued for Steph Curry. Steph Curry had a guy, a woman actually, just walk into his house. His kids were there, just walked in. They call it a super fan. It's a super fan. How about that? I'm just going to walk in your house. You know, I always have a story. In my neighborhood, when you drove down the street in Zionsville in Cobblestone Lakes, all the houses really looked alike. They were different, but the driveway garage setup. My brother was on the phone. My brother stopped, pulled in the driveway, walked into the garage, walked into the kitchen through the garage door and looked around, and two little kids were in there, scared to death. They looked, they ran to their parents. My brother's like, I better leave. Came over to our house next door. About 5 minutes later, the cops were at my neighbor's house. I go, Tom, you got to walk out there and tell them. He's like, oh, yeah, better. So he walked out there. He said, hey, look, I walked up. I thought this was the house. I was on the phone. The cops were cool. The neighbor was a great guy. But this ain't that. This is some crazy David Letterman type stuff. Remember Letterman used to have a woman laying in his bed? It happened to a baseball friend of mine, but that was a groupie. She paid off the hotel. And when my buddy got back to his room, he said, this hot woman is laying naked on my bed. I said, what'd you do? He said, what'd you think I did? Guys are pigs. What can I tell you? But guys aren't this kind of pig. This is a different kind of pig. The mayor for Boston, we talked about this earlier, had a secret no whites party. Michelle Wu, married to a white dude, planned a secret no whites party. Aide accidentally sent a group email invitation meant for only electors of color. Hey, I'm a color. White, that's a color. Last I looked, I'm looking around. There's a lot of white right here. There's white on the shades. There's white on the ceiling. There's white right here on the door switches. I don't know. Next thing I know, that's white, right? A lot of white. Why isn't white a color? Man, what an idiot. I mean, you're just an idiot. I mean, it would be nice if someone said, yeah, I know I'm black. I know I was elected, but Michelle Wu, you're an idiot, and I ain't coming to your party. But that's not what we do. Yeah, man, no white people. I don't like white people. She's married to a white dude. Kamala Harris married to a white dude. That Omar married to a white dude if it's not her brother. AOC married to a white dude. White dude's got it going on. I ain't going to lie to you. I'll tell you right now. White dude's got it figured out. We do. I ain't afraid to say I'm a white dude. Jeez. Let's not have white people. Unless we want to marry them. Oh, man, I love this show. This show is so much fun. Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Aaron, for letting me do this show. So much fun. All right, woke adult me, baby. Woke adult me. What do we got? What do we got? There they are. Look at that thing. Here's America's response to the UN's demand that we eat less meat. You're damn right. That's right. Yeah, the UN's demanding we eat less meat. Let me guess. Somebody's going to get rich off something. I thought the ice cap was supposed to melt. I thought glaciers were supposed to go away. And y'all believe this crap. Hey, look, UN, eat me. We'll go get meat. We'll go get more meat. In fact, the carnivore diet is actually the most healthy diet. And I don't care about whether or not cows fart. You're just making stuff up now. You want to be a leader in the climate change world? Stop flying around in your private jet. Stop leaving a carbon footprint the size of Maine. And did you know that Maine has more shoreline than California? Look it up. I just read that. I'm reading a new book by David Baldacci, and I was reading it. It's really good, by the way. It's called The Edge, David Baldacci's new book. It's good. I can't stop reading it. In fact, I had to scrape my ass off the little chair out here yesterday afternoon. I can't stop. I won't stop. Next! The border. There are more important things going on. Give me ice cream. You know, Joe Biden is remarkable. You got to give Joe Biden a little credit. He just don't care. He's so bought and paid for that he just don't care. He's like, I'm not going to campaign. This thing's all taken care of. I know we're not supposed to talk like that. I ain't worried about it. This is all taken care of. He knows it is. He 1,000% knows it is all taken care of. That's why whenever somebody whips a poll out, you just go, don't matter. Unless the Republicans can figure out how to take care of it, you're going to see two-fisted ice cream, doped up Joe. You know he's doped up. I mean, geez, some days he can't speak. Other days he's lucid. What are you talking about? Give me ice cream or give me death and give me open borders. And you know what you're starting to see with these open borders on a serious note? You're starting to see a lot of murders. A bunch of dudes up here in Kokomo, Indiana murdered a kid. Think they're illegal. You're seeing it. It ain't going to stop. What else are they going to do? Why do you think so many military-aged men are coming across the border? You know who that John Pierre, a gay lesbian, black lady said the other day on the podium? It's Republicans' fault. Okay, it's Republicans' fault. They haven't had a Republican president in a couple of years, but hey, it's Republicans' fault. Next! Ooh, I just watched The Grinch last night. Bidenomics. Man, how the grocery bill stole our Christmas. Let's go through this. We were actually, before the show, Dylan and I were talking. Let's go through this. Energy prices way up. I'm writing it down. Grocery bills insanely up. Rent way up. Mortgage payments, mortgage rates way up. Huh. What exactly is Bidenomics doing that's making somebody think it's working? Can anybody tell me? Please. Anybody. I'll hang up and listen. But he's right. This poster is right. I was watching The Grinch, 26-minute. It was the original one. Boris Karloff was doing the narration yesterday. Lee and I and Tegan and Laura, we just popped it on. The Grinch stole everything. I got to tell you. Let me know. Let me know where Bidenomics is working. And you can pull this and I'll play Jingle Bells. Or actually, I'll say, okay, look, I understand gas prices are going down because we're in election year. I get that. But, man, you go to the store, if that's Bidenomics, I don't want any more of it. We got any more? We done. I think that's 3. All right. One last thing, and it goes back to the NBA. I'm going to read this to you so that we can't play it, because every time we play something by this racist jackass, Gilbert Arenas, something bad happens. So this is Gilbert Arenas, another example of stupid. Now, this is an idiot that brought guns in the locker room. This is an idiot. He says, I know what Draymond Green, I know what Dre doing. He's taking care of these Europeans one at a time. The media is trying to push these Euros, and you're choking and slapping them back. Do your thing. Jesus. And not one of these woke ass, we stand for all people, media member is going to say nothing. Not a damn thing. Guy is a racist clown, and he's stupid on top of it. And the very fact that he would bring guns to a locker room shows that he could be dangerous, but not a word. I will give Sam Amico credit. This show has the absolute worst take in basketball history, and that is hard to do. Last I looked, I don't know, Jordan Poole wasn't European. We have, and I've said this before, and I'll say this again, when the NBA starts, the worst thing about the NBA is not the basketball. It's the dumbasses with a 5th grade education talking. And then what happens if you get good enough and you got a mic and you put it in front of you and you played a little bit, then they become somebody that they're stupid gets picked up. Their stupid gets enhanced. Their stupid gets broadcast. Jaden McNeil says this. Imagine a white commentator like Pat McAfee encouraging violence against a black player, saying he's taking care of these Africans. His career would be over. Why is it only allowed one way? Well, that's what we're seeing. That's exactly what we're seeing. And I'm telling you, I guess people are going to get tired of it. I certainly am. And I'm calling it out. Call me whatever you like. I just got called a racist many, many times over by some idiot that kicked out of 3 schools, Drew Shafino. I kicked him out of West Virginia. Beeline kicked him out of West Virginia. Middle Tennessee kicked him out. That's 3 times. I don't know about 3 schools. I'll give Jordan Poole this, though. To get punched, he said, you're an expensive backpack for 30. That's pretty funny. 30, of course. 30, of course, is Steph Curry. Y'all so sensitive. How about we speak English? So we are promoting Gilbert's trash and racist podcast. Yeah. Yes, we are. That's what we're doing. Man, it's unbelievable. The world that we live in. Last thing, NBA showed it stupid last night. Pacers were trying to do a nice thing. Oscar Tshiebwe played in his first NBA game, and the NBA, or at least the Pacers, try to get the game ball and give it to the kid. Well, last night, the Greek Freak scored 64, and he wanted a game ball, and complete stupidity ensued. I mean stupidity. Idiots fighting, idiots arguing, idiots running, idiot over a game ball. And Rick Carlisle just simply said, look, there was a misunderstanding. One of our assistants grabbed the ball because the kid had played in his first game. Go on Twitter and find this. You'll see what I'm talking about. The level of stupid, a misunderstanding. All right. That's it. But everybody wants to fight. Everybody wants to blow up. I don't know how y'all watch. I bet on it when the sack man gives it to me, and I don't watch it. We'll have more tomorrow because this is the greatest show in the history of the world. Dylan and Ryan, thank you. Nick and Nick, too, as always. Beth the Booker, you're fantastic. Of course, Katie and Haley. We're going to start moving this show after the first of the year over just to OutKick. Too restrictive here on YouTube. YouTube gets mad at us because we're a conservative station. I've told you this before. We're conservative, and you can't have that, and blah, 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 blah. Clay just put out a thing, Clay Travis. Trump leads Biden in all 7 swing states. It don't matter. Just don't go to bed on election night. We'll see you tomorrow.